What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and welcome to episode 31 of All Hail the King. In case you're not familiar with this series, it's the video episode that goes along with a podcast segment that you can find on the From the Helicarrier website at www.thehelicarrier.com. There you'll also find all sorts of information about this game, including past podcasts. You can also find a direct link to this podcast in the description below. Now this week is going to be different because it's a crossover episode with PvP Preseason Beta, also known as your daily dose of beta, and this will be day 11. Now the reason this will be a crossover episode is because the podcast lines up perfectly with beta. In fact, the whole purpose of this segment was how to do better in Preseason Beta. So for this first match I'm going to do a regular commentary, and the reason for that is because I did terrible. There will be a number of mistakes made, and we may have a shocking outcome. After this, I'll try to give you as many tips as I can, and tell you virtually everything I know about Preseason Beta. The first thing you'll notice is we do have a mirror match on our hands. The only thing different are the classes. It looks pretty good at the beginning because our agent is going to get to go second. Against most teams using the Guardian Insignia, followed by combat reflexes, and then an AoE attack like the Hotshot, it will absolutely clear all the enemies. However, survival training stops this from happening. Not only that, we don't even get a critical hit on Gamora, so she has a ton of health remaining. Now the funny thing is we even get stuns in this one, including on Groot. But yet I still focused my attacks on him. Then after the fact I realized, hey, we can hit someone else, so I do attack Gamora. She's stunned as well, so it's going to be our turn. And even though I know they're immune to Fatal Blow, I still use Execute on the enemy agent. Now truthfully I do have a habit of doing this, but in this situation it was even worse than usual. Most of that is because of what the enemy does next. He uses the Asgardian Tankard, followed by the Guardian Insignia, and then a Blade of the Corruptor. So yes, there's a stealthy attack that has Boonbuster, and it destroys my agent. It doesn't even matter that we have Groot protecting because the Blade of the Corruptor is a stealthy attack. So after seeing this, aren't you happy that I told you to buy this weapon? Now Groot's in cutting form, we've already used our Resurrect on our agent, and we're in some serious trouble. And really this is all because of my mistake. So I don't know if I was falling asleep or what happened, but it was either that or overconfidence, or maybe just because of how beta was going, I was kind of in cruise control. I definitely made this a lot harder than it needed to be. Now on Groot's turn, what I'm actually going to do is give Gamora an extra turn, and then with that I'm going to use Demoralizing Shout. You know, the ability I should have used in the first place. Or well, I actually should have tried to do as much damage as I could to the enemy agent. That way we could have finished him off before his amazing turn. But hey, sometimes you have to learn by making mistakes or even losing. Now after using our level 2, it's going to be the enemy Gamora's turn, and she does execute our agent. I'm not sure, but I think that's the first time we lost our agent in any PvP Preseason Beta battle. Maybe those of you who have been watching this series could tell me if I'm wrong. Anyways, this time I'm going to use Execute on Gamora, but that's because I know she's going to die from burning. At this point we have a 2-on-1, and I'm really not worried about Groot's damage. So at this time I was thinking, okay, we're going to win this, even though I may have deserved to lose. Next with our Groot, I'm going to use his level 6, and I'll give him Rally. Truthfully, I didn't think we would need him, but I was worried about a Groot on Groot fight. I heard those were absolutely ridiculous. Next, the enemy Gamora does die from burning, and then we go ahead and use Mortal Strike on Groot. This will drop his HP very low, and he does already have Despair. What this means is when he dies, he won't go into cutting form. So as soon as it's his turn, he will take his damage over time effect, and that's going to be the end of the match. Fortunately, we do keep our win streak alive, even though we probably should have lost. One thing a match like that is good for is opening your eyes and making you choose your actions more carefully. So believe it or not, it can and will improve your skills in PvP. That match will also help me point out many things I found to be true in Preseason Beta. First of all, the two teams that I find most difficult to beat are that mirror match with Gamora and Groot, and a quick lock team that has the Cosmic Cardinal. Now obviously that latter team isn't going to work if you're using Iron Fist, but for someone using the Guardians for example like me, it can be devastating. Not so much the quick lock part, but the Cosmic Cardinal part. This of course is because of the super agent, and his Cosmic Cardinal can actually finish off one of your teammates. Now what can happen is Quicksilver can target anyone because of his stealthy attack, then they can get follow-up attacks, and take you below that survival training threshold. The next thing you know is you're hit with the Cosmic Cardinal and you're dead. It happens super fast before your first turn, and there's very little you can do. Now I really didn't even want to mention that team because it will probably give me a loss and force me to use Iron Fist. But hey, I'm trying to give all the tips I have for beta, so I'm going to give you every bit of information I can. The other team, like I mentioned, is a Guardian team, and that's because Groot will protect, even against area attacks. Then on top of that you have survival training, so you should be able to take a hit. See, beta is all about the agent, so you have to keep him alive, and then you should have an AoE weapon for him to team clear. On defense, using the synthetic cube will actually hurt you. That's because you're going to use Blackest Void instead of an AoE attack. To me, that's a complete waste. I don't even care if I'm disoriented because I'm going to use an AoE attack and it's going to kill your entire team. So that's a big thing to avoid using, and yet I still see it on defense. Next, if you have a resurrect item on your agent, you most likely want to use it. If for some odd reason your agent does get killed, he will come back, and then hopefully you still get your AoE one-shot. This can make the difference in a battle you absolutely have no business winning. Next, if you can get your AoE attack to be stealthy, then it doesn't matter if they have a protector like Groot who can take on area attacks. That's because you're going to bypass him completely. Oh, and by the way, the reason I use Gamora is for that guaranteed hit. I just wanted to throw that out there because when you miss your AoE attack, it's so frustrating. The last thing you want to do is miss with your agent. When he strikes, it needs to be a kill. That is, unless you're breaking down survival training first. If you have your AoE attack and a guaranteed hit, the last things that can stop you is elite hacking skills, or something like a cower proc. Oftentimes that's just going to depend on good or bad luck, and luckily here we don't take Buggy, and we get to wipe out their team. All that's left to do is to execute Deadpool. He is stunned, so they won't even get a turn, and now Gamora is going to end him. That's also going to end all 5 of our battles, so besides that first match, they do go very quickly. I'm pretty confident I gave you most of the tips that I had, but if I did forget something, you'll want to tune in for each daily dose of beta, and there you can find out how I've been winning, as well as catch some Q&A sessions. Speaking of that, it will resume on day 12, so make sure you check back in. I will try to take questions from the last episode as well as this one, so if you have a question, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Lastly, I want to thank you all for watching and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck and take care.